The past 2 weeks, two things have happened in the book world simultaneously. Two things that involved the same fandom ship and that have the book world panicking. The first was a particular celebrity getting handed a bound copy of a very popular fan fiction, something which has, it's just really, really upset people.
You're fucking weird.
And the second was a publisher posting this infographic. If you have a life outside of books and the internet, which realistically you probably don't if you clicked on this video, cheers. But if you do, this might all seem like colourful nonsense. So let me explain to you how serious these two things are. Over the past 3 years, we have seen what I am calling the unstoppable rise of Dramione fanfiction. That is fanfiction written about the ship Draco Malfoy x Hermione Granger. It has gained such widespread appeal that even people who are new to fanfiction have been dipping their toe in the water. They have been flocking in droves to be baptized in the rivers of Dramione. And this year, some of the most popular Dramione fic writers have books coming out. Books which should not, as fandom law dictates, be advertised as reskinned fanfictions. So what does it mean when a publisher themselves breaks this cardinal rule? Questions are arising. Are normies ruining fanfiction? Is AO3 going to be banned? And I don't know, is Dramione a sign of the apocalypse? Realistically, no, but there is a big moral panic happening in fandom right now that we need to talk about. So this is kind of a whopper of a video today, guys, so strap in.
Hey, before I break my silence, I hate Draman, and I can't stay silent about it.
Hi, I'm Connie Glynn. I write whimsical books that will destroy you, and you should go buy them immediately. I also spend an obscene amount of time consuming fanfiction, as is my God-given right. To explain to you all how unusual and in some people's minds terrible what's currently happening is, we first need to take a look at the laws of fandom, but also why we have these laws. Fandom is simultaneously very loud and very secretive. There's a lot of spoken and unspoken rules. Some of these rules are to protect fanfiction writers, some of them are to protect readers, and some of them are to protect fanfiction itself. We will be calling this section of the video "Normies are ruining fanfiction." Probably not true, just to be clear. This is a common mindset I keep stumbling across, and it stems from the idea that this sudden influx of newbies to fandom from places like BookTok are desecrating the space because these people don't know the rules. And the fear is that if these rules are broken, then fanfiction itself could be jeopardized, which would be very bad. Fandom spaces are sacred because they have been safe spaces for societal outcasts for a long time. And the last thing anyone wants is for someone to come along and bulldoze it or put it in the public eye in a way that might damage it, or worse, get it regulated. These are some of the fanfiction rules that I have personally come across. 1. Don't like, don't read. Number 2, you must never pay for a fanfiction in any capacity. Number 3, you must never sell fanfiction in any capacity. Number 4, if a fanfic is based on real people, you must never force said fanfic on said people. Number 5, you must tag your work appropriately. Because fandom used to feel smaller, people breaking these rules was usually handled discreetly. But recently, a fandom has risen so fast and hard that it feels like the rules simply cannot keep up with them. Please come to the stand, Dramione. But before we dive into that, I have some good news. I have partnered with Wild. This is my first partnership since coming back to YouTube last year. This is a momentous occasion for me. My boyfriend has been on a mission to get me to switch to a natural refillable deodorant for a long time. I've been testing out Wild for the past month through Comic-Con, through my Romance in YA panel, and it's just really good. I don't know how else to say it, it's just good. This stuff gives 24-hour protection. It smells incredible. And the weird underarm itch I've been getting for my whole life, I have not been getting with this, so make of that what you will. I'm obsessed with this fresh cotton and sea salt scent that I got. It smells like fresh laundry, but they have loads of other scents, so you can find the one that is perfect for you. There's no aluminium salts or parabens, which is very important to me. And the packaging, So cute. They had a bunch to choose from, but I went for this one. Please don't look at my nails. This is the Emma Bridgewater B case. They also sent me a lip balm and body wash, which are also refillable, naturally. If you want to give Wild a try, use my code Connie20 for 20% off all of their products. This code is only going to be live for a short amount of time, so be quick. Click the link below or scan the QR code to start your Wild journey. And the subscription service is super flexible. Cancel, pause, or change your scent at any time. If you've been thinking about making the switch like I have, then this is your sign. I promise you will not regret it. I have instantly fallen in love. Now, back to Dramione. Content warning, guys, we will be discussing Harry Potter and the moral issues surrounding consuming it as a piece of media. So please be prepared for that. Okay, so people are mad about Dramione, and they're also mad at Dramione. There's an almost satanic panic level of concern over its growing popularity. For the uninformed, Dramione is the pairing of Draco Malfoy x Hermione Granger from Schmeke Schmauling's Schmarry Schmodder Schmeries. It's usually enemies to lovers, with both of them being extremely reluctant towards their feelings at the start. It's a really classic boiling pot of typical romance tropes and comedic potential, very much in line with all of the stuff that is popular currently on like smut talk or romance book talk. Like it or not, it is quite literally a record-breaking ship. Usually M/M dominated space, Dramione has managed to put a straight ship into the top 20 for the first time in like a bajillion years. It's drawn likely millions of new people into fandom. There were a few fanfics that were instrumental to this. We will be focusing on two of them for the most part, and that is Draco Malfoy and the mortifying ordeal of being in love, and Manacled. Also, this video is not going to be discussing the content of these fics or morality in fanfiction because I fear that would require an entire other video. We are just going to be looking at Dramione, the incidents, and how there is a shift currently occurring in publishing. With it growing so rapidly in popularity, it seems like every other week there is some new controversy surrounding the Dramione fandom. And I think this is less to do with Dramione being some like particularly toxic fandom and more to do with it reaching critical mass. Usually fandom lore and drama is kind of funny haha, like the Homestuck Sharpie incident or the Sherlock Holmes secret 4th episode or My Immortal as a concept. But the Dramione drama tends to be a little more set in real world issues and has started bringing up old school discussions on fanfiction legality. Things like individuals paying for bound copies of fanfiction as opposed to the previously extremely niche demographic of people who would bind fanfics themselves.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
Which takes us to the incidents in question. So as this Reddit user put in a post titled Dramione being called out on TT is of course TikTok, they said, "Hi, just saw two creators calling out Dramione fandom as a whole for the disregard of fandom etiquette, e.g. gifting an actor the bound copy of Manacled, and they also mentioned that TIUTFFYE being officially marketed as Dramione. I checked the author's IG and they clarified that it's different from DMATMOOBIL and didn't see any blatant mention that it's Dramione except for the Barbenheimer reference for Rose in Chains and TIUTFFYE. Can anyone give insight on this? Thank you." Okay, so those acronyms were the irresistible urge to fall for your enemy and Draco Malfoy and the mortifying ordeal of being in love. Sorry, I should have said that beforehand. What a mouthful. So let's look at what happened in a tiny bit more detail. First up, Tom Felton was handed a bound copy of Manacled. I've seen people both furious about this and other people thinking it's really funny, and then people being mad at the people who think it's funny, and then some people thinking he'll like it, and then some people thinking that he'll hate it. A lot's going on. And the fact is, guys, you just don't know. You don't know. You don't know these people. It might very well, in this instance, be totally harmless, but it shouldn't be normalized because, and it bears repeating, you just don't know. The most logical argument against this sort of thing is that the fan fiction he was handed, Manacled, is extremely violent. It deals with some freaking dark stuff, guys. Torture, sexual violence, assault, eugenics. It's not an easy breezy, fun, walk in the park fan fiction. Much of the violence involves Draco Malfoy himself, and there's even parts where he engages in sexually violent activity with Hermione Granger. Tom Felton is not Draco Malfoy, but he did play him in Harry Potter, and Hermione Granger was played by a colleague of his, Emma Watson. There's the very real worry that handing an actor a piece of sexually explicit media about characters they play could be seen as sexual harassment. I have the unique perspective of being somebody who is both an author and has had people write fan fiction about my characters, and somebody who was once upon a time famous enough on the internet to have people write fan fiction about me. As an author who loves fan fiction, I truly believe the fan fiction people write about my characters is none of my goddamn business. I will not be looking at it. I will not be dipping my toe in it. This is for you. Do what you will. I will not be looking. It's a safe space for you. And yeah, back in the day, some people wrote fan fiction about me, and I am aware that one of these fanfics was, for lack of a better phrase, kind of fucked up. And you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I highly doubt the person who wrote it ever wanted me to see it or had any intention of me seeing it. They were just using Noodlerella as a character to play out a very specific fantasy of theirs. I don't care, so long as no one is actively trying to get me to see it. The only thing that would ever have made me uncomfortable is if this person had tried to get me to see it, or if another fan had perhaps printed it out and given it to me at an event like, oh my god, have you seen this thing about you? Don't show people this stuff. And while it might very well be that Tom Felton will find it funny and won't mind, there could be a situation in the future where a celebrity is handed something like this and it makes them extremely uncomfortable. So I really think this kind of behaviour does need to be nipped in the bud.
Stop it, behave yourself.
A large portion of the Dramione fandom is well aware of the misbehaviour of their brethren, many of them believing that this is more so a case of people from book talk flocking to traditional fandom spaces and not knowing the rules. Reddit was full of people both defending their love of Dramione, but also calling out those in the fandom that had been breaking the rules. So I'm going to read you some of these posts. One user said, "The irony is that the person who gifted Manacled to TF is almost certainly someone who got into it through TikTok and does not engage with the wider fandom. Anyone who was deeply involved in the traditional side of fandom would know not to do that. This isn't a Dramione fandom issue, it's a TikTok issue." Chat, I think I have to agree with them. I don't think Dramione is some evil fandom. A shift is happening in fan fiction and publishing, and it's not specifically the fault of Dramione, they are simply the catalyst. The rise of romantasy fiction occurring parallel to the rise of Dramione is no coincidence. The two are intrinsically interlinked. Many of these new fans are people who have come from TikTok. They've come from book talk and smut talk and romantasy and romance TikTok. Dramione writers being picked up for traditional publishing feels less to do specifically with their cosmically popular fanfics, and more that there is an aggressive hunger in publishing for romance books of this caliber, and these fan fictions almost act like bulletproof resumes. Which brings us to the next controversy, the next incident, and perhaps the more significant of the two. The infographic. The Dramione infographic has caused a stir for two reasons. The first one being, what? What were they thinking? I imagine the author had absolutely no idea this infographic was going to be posted, and I'm sure if they had known, they would have put a swift stop to it. I seriously hope nobody has been harassing this author or giving them any grief over this. I want to be very clear here that the author has done absolutely nothing wrong. This infographic though, okay. To announce so openly that a piece of media you're publishing is inspired by two characters from another intellectual property is certainly a pickle. It's a real pickle. Because of course, those that know that the author has previously written Dramione fanfictions and that this book that she's bringing out may or may not be loosely based on one of her most popular fanfics. But these fans of the author of that fic, they already know. They already know this. They don't need to be told again. There's a need to know basis, and they were the people that needed to know, and they already know it. there really doesn't feel any need to share this information with the general population. All this can possibly achieve, in my mind, is confusion. People will start claiming the book is just a reskinned fan fiction. It feels detrimental to sales at best and legally dubious at its worst. But more than anything, it is deeply, deeply unfair to the author. And it's important to note that this is nothing new. Authors having books come out that were originally conceived as fan fictions has been going on forever. I mean, most authors I know have secret fan fiction accounts. Fan fictions being turned into books is, yeah, we have a bunch of them already. Like, 50 Shades of Grey was originally conceived as Twilight fanfiction. The Love Hypothesis was originally Reylo fanfic. After was One Direction fanfiction. I think it was One Direction fanfiction, right? Yeah. I even found a whole Reddit thread of people who like to speculate about which books are actually based on fan fictions or famous ships, and I had a really good time looking through some of them. It's nothing new, and we're only going to be seeing more and more and more of it. If you're an artist, you're encouraged to partake in the immaterial labor of building up a social media presence. I have animator friends who use their TikToks and Instagrams essentially as CVs, and this is the standard practice in the industry. Now, we're seeing the same thing with fanfiction and authors. A popular fanfiction account with a good track record of completed and well-received work is essentially a portfolio. It shows publishers that you are capable of finishing your stories and meeting deadlines. It shows that you write in a way that deeply connects with large audiences, and depending on the fic, it might also be exactly what a specific publisher is looking for in terms of genre or tropes. But what about using someone's intellectual property to market something? We all shout in unison. So back to the infographic, and more specifically, the backlash to it. There's actually two camps of distinct backlash that this infographic has received. The first is obviously people's issue with selling a work based on the characters that it's inspired by. And in this instance, because it's Dramione, there's also backlash to it being Harry Potter adjacent media. The thinking being that it directs money and support and visibility back to the transphobe JKR. So this person's tweet raises a lot of questions to me about how, like, if any book can be proven to have inspiration from Harry Potter, should it be axed? Is any media, be it all Harry Potter fan fiction from Marauders to Dramione, somehow immoral because it keeps J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter in the zeitgeist? I feel like I can't solve this in this video. I know this is a really heated topic, and what J.K. Rowling has done to the trans community is truly unforgivable and cruel, so let's make sure we're all on the same page there. This is actually a really complicated discussion, and the only thing I can really contribute to it is a specific case study, and the case study is myself and the fact that I hate Harry Potter. There was a time in my life when I really, really tried to like Harry Potter, and I even kind of pretended that I did because I thought I could fake it till I made it. I have never read the books, and before J.K. Rowling went mold-brained, I even did a brand deal for an audiobook company where I was supposed to read them for the first time, and even being paid to do so, I could not do it. I also hate the movies with white-hot searing passion. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to drop the smiling act. I am a Harry Potter denier. I am Harry Potter #1 hater. I find these films borderline unwatchable. I think people's obsession with them is confusing. That being said, I am not here to shit on you if you ever loved those books or movies. Obviously, there was something in them that I just couldn't get on board with, because they are basically the biggest franchise in the whole world. I just don't get it. I just don't get it, guys. Oh my god. But my hatred of Harry Potter is very important because I have read Harry Potter fanfiction and I have enjoyed it. Some Harry Potter fanfiction I have even loved. I would say the Harry Potter fanfics I have enjoyed in spite of them being related to Harry Potter in any way, shape or form. I mean, when I've read some of these, I don't know who half the people they're talking about are. I don't know who these characters are. They mean nothing to me. And frankly, no amount of Harry Potter fanfic is gonna get me to read those books. In the case of Dramione writers, there is this kind of hilarious paradox I keep seeing pop up where people who are fundamentally opposed to the ship for whatever reason will point out that in these Dramione fan fictions, these characters are so misrepresented and mischaracterized that they might as well be writing about entirely different people. Well, yeah. To me, that kind of speaks to how media is created, where you take inspiration from all that you consume, and you do something different with it. But put a pin in that. In all honesty though, guys, I don't think we're ever going to be able to just stick our fingers in our ears and pretend that Harry Potter doesn't exist. Trust me, as a Harry Potter hater from day one, I have tried. It is not possible. I purposefully didn't mention Harry Potter in my last video, even though there was an entire section about books aimed at boys. And honestly, it felt like there was an elephant in the room the whole time. Harry is present even in the act of not mentioning him. You can, of course, make an active effort not to buy Harry Potter media that will contribute to J.K. Rowling's financial piles. We also probably shouldn't post infographics announcing that a book we're publishing is based on 2 Harry Potter characters for myriad reasons, but content inspired by Harry Potter cannot be erased. It's already here. It's everywhere you look. Hell, you could even argue that all media currently being produced is to some degree inspired by Harry Potter, because inspiration itself is an extremely messy topic, which takes us to our final point of the day. Inspiration! Specifically, what's the difference between inspiration and copyright infringement? Yeah, so turns out it's actually really complicated. As a writer, I often feel like I have made a social contract with the rest of humanity, that they are free to be inspired by my work. And you actually kind of hope for that. Like, what a huge compliment that somebody would be inspired by what you've written and create something else because of it. When you pitch a book, it's standard practice to say something like, it's Gossip Girl meets Get Out, like in the case of Ace of Spades. And Farida has even said publicly many times their love of Gossip Girl and how it inspired Ace of Spades, which is a really good book, by the way, and you should all go read it. One of the most common questions asked at a signing event is, what inspired you? I would say I pretty much get asked it every single time I do an event. People want to know, and I do not shy away from saying that some of the inspirations for Rosewood were Nana and Revolutionary Girl Utena, or that the reason some slightly disconcerting blonde twins are the lead characters in the Cursed Melodies is because I had a big Vocaloid phase. Truthfully, everything we create is in conversation with everything we consume and love. All art, through all time, is basically just one giant dialogue. There's a reason the best and most common writing advice is read everything you can, as much as you can, all of the time. So although this infographic was perhaps a little poorly thought out and they probably shouldn't have done it, the concept of a fan fiction being picked up to be reworked into a unique original story makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't feel like some messy breach of copyright. It feels like the way so many stories are actually written, except just a lot more explicit in its inspiration. Look, I'm gonna level with you guys. I think this is just the beginning. We're going to see so many more authors coming from fan fiction, and we're going to see so many more fandoms and ships coming into more traditionally like bookish spaces. BookTok and fandom have already begun to converge, with the tropes that originated from places like AO3 being used to market books. You have enemies to lovers, there was only one bed, hurt/comfort. This kind of pulp comfort media is so ripe to be plucked and added to the swath of new romance novels coming out, because as fan fiction and the growing boom of romance BookTok confirms, people really want to read this stuff. And yeah, I will admit that it can feel a little unfair that the types of relationships that fandom was really built upon, aka queer relationships, are not really getting this level of renaissance. But the truth is, people want and are actively reading these stories. You can't stop someone liking strawberry flavor ice cream by just being really mad about it. That is not how the world works. We just have to show publishers that we want more queer stories, so that these super gay fanfics that the whole fan fiction was built upon can also get their chance to be reworked and traditionally published, and we can see more of it everywhere. I'm really open to people's opinions about this whole thing, and I don't feel like there's any right and wrong answers. It's just that something is changing, and it's definitely more complicated than just like this thing is right and this thing is wrong. The line between fan fiction and traditionally published books is getting thinner and blurrier all the time, and it does feel like something's got to give. There's a shift happening. This is uncharted territory, and I am choosing to be excited by it instead of worried, as long as everyone can behave themselves. Okay, thank you if you've made it to the end of this video, everyone. I am currently reading Blood Meridian, and it's giving me a lot of thoughts about like the concept of an unadaptable book. As always, I would love to hear what you guys are reading. And yes, I love you all. Peace be with you. Bye bye.